Welcome to the University of Liverpool, the original red brick, the original planning school, and original research. Hello and welcome to this Planning, Environmental Assessment and Management interview. I'm Richard Dunning and I'm joined today by Dr. Olivier Sykes.
Hello.
Olivier is an international expert in comparative planning and he's going to be talking to us today a little bit about how systems are responding to the global sustainability agenda. So Olivier, welcome.
Thank you.
Why are you interested in this topic? What brought you to these questions?
I think planning has traditionally obviously been studied in national context. Most countries around the world have some kind of planning system, but increasingly obviously the challenges we face in terms of sustainability, people often talk about the urban century. Obviously the majority of the global population is now living in cities, which is historically very significant. So when you look at that context, obviously there's value in understanding how planning in different countries is responding to some of those wider challenges like sustainability, climate change, resilience, and we can learn a lot by looking at how I think different countries approach those issues, and that's the value, I suppose, and the interest of international planning studies.
Great. So have you got any examples of recent research that takes that approach, that unlocks new avenues for us?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that planning systems are obviously quite known for is reform. So obviously these challenges change. Challenges around sustainability, transport, housing, economy. These things change. So systems are often reformed, at regular intervals, and so that's happening in England at the moment, where we are, where Liverpool is, where we're researching, and so. To sort of put that into a context, we did a piece of work for the Royal Town Planning Institute around the introduction of something called National Development Management Policies, which sounds quite technical, but essentially what that is, it's the central government setting out planning policies that it wants to see applied essentially across different scales, principally at the local level. That is something that has potential to introduce a new approach to decision making in planning, and for that reason we were commissioned by the Royal Town Planning Institute to go and look at how that works in other jurisdictions, other countries. So we looked at a number of countries across Europe. So we looked at Switzerland, the Netherlands, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, because they all have different planning systems, and we compared how that level of planning is organised, how it works, and I suppose its influence at the local level, and how that might give us lessons for what is proposed to happen in England.
So any highlights from that, or any kind of lessons and implications for planning practice to take from that?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think in terms of impact, definitely, because one of the key sort of conclusions we had was that you need to make sure that these policies, because they're developed remotely from the local planning level, that they are properly scrutinised, that they have some kind of democratic, and then also expert input into them. And so one of the recommendations from that report, which was taken forward by the Royal Town Planning Institute, was that there should be some form of scrutiny, democratic parliamentary scrutiny of those policies. And then it was quite satisfying to hear that was cited in Parliament when there was a debate on this, because as you probably know, laws are made through Parliament between the Lords and the House of Commons, and they go backwards and forwards. And one of the things which was an amendment, it's called, that was sought to be introduced, was the discussion around whether these new policies should actually be subject to some kind of parliamentary scrutiny. So that was sort of an outcome from that project and from that comparison, because that does happen in certain other jurisdictions, not everywhere, but there are systems where that happens, and it seems to be a necessary and useful thing to guarantee the democratic, validity of those policies.
Great, thanks. So if people wanted to learn a bit more about that, where could they find out a bit more information?
Okay, so in terms of general comparative work and international planning studies, we've recently published a book. It's called International Planning Studies: An Introduction with Palgrave. So I believe the details are after the video, you can pick those up. And the more specific work you can on National Development Management Policies for the Royal Town Planning Institute, you can find it again by going to their website, or we'll put the links in as well, I guess, after the video, and people can download the original research, and they can also look at the policy paper that the Royal Town Planning Institute developed based on that research.
Thanks, Olivier. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to know more about the research, do look up those links. You can also look at Olivier's profile on the website, or just drop him an email, and I'm sure he'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Thanks for watching.